Hi, hope you're doing well. My name is Salah, and today I'll be presenting my individual assignment. So, first we'll just go through the website itself and see how it functions, and then we'll go through the website and the source code side by side. So, once we start the website, this is how it starts off. It welcomes the user and it asks to put some inputs. Now, if we just go ahead and submit, there are validators here to make sure that empty inputs are not made. So if we go ahead and just put Salah and select I'm a student, and next comes the purpose of viewing. Now when we select any of these, nothing happens, and if we select this, nothing happens. But there is a conditional where if we select hiring, we will get additional options, and we have to fill them up and the requirements come up again. Now hiring for just uh, junior dev, it's just for junior 1 to 2 months, and then we come again to the option of would you like to be contacted. Now if we select no, nothing happens, but once again if we select yes, we'll get additional information, so we can enter numbers 3123. Let's just enter that for now, and for email let me just enter that. And once we submit, we the previous form is gone and we are shown the details we entered. Now Salahuddin is what I entered, and occupation for student, and I was hiring. Now the position was junior dev, and level of position junior. Now we can go ahead and click on close because we have nothing else to do on this page. Once we click on close, we are presented to uh, the resume page where my resume is at. Now on the left hand side, you can see all the education and the contact information, the skills. Over here is a little bit about myself, and on the bottom is the skills, the hard skills and the soft skills. Now, once we, when we, sorry, over here we can see that the professional experience section, we can see key responsibilities. Now there's nothing selected, but once we select the year 2021 to 2022, we can see that we're getting some information. Now this has been binded to the bullet list, bullet yeah bullet list, sorry, bullet list. And if we select the year 2020, uh, the information changes as this is being fetched from the database itself. Now we can see that the label over here, this is a label, we can see that that changes as well as the year changed. So in 2021 I was a project manager and a social media manager, and in 2020 I was a web application developer. So that's how the website works, and that is it so far. Now we can go ahead and check the code and the website alongside. Now, if we look here, the validators were working. Now, let's just do this on and hiring manager. Okay, hiring manager, and let's make it hiring. Right. So before that, this is the code that we're using to specify what the database is. Now the database we're using is a local database. So that's the code that initializes it. And now for the database, we use this code to check whether the database is open or not. So if the database is open, we will close it. And then if the database is closed, we will open on page load. This is to avoid always closing and always opening up the database, sorry, the connection um, on every line. So yeah, and then drop down resume. I'll come back to this. Now this code right here is what actually triggers the hiring section over here. So if purpose dot drop down, which is this, uh, if its selected value is equal to hiring, then pause dot div dot visible will be true. That means because over what I've done over here is actually um, I have labeled I have given the divs an ID, and whenever I want to hide something and show something, I will trigger the visibility to be true or false. Now that one over here, yeah, that div itself is over here, so that will show this entire section, and hide this entire section. So I don't have to hide it by default, because if it's not selecting, if hired is not selected, it will always be uh, false. The visibility will always be false. And same goes for the radio button list for the would you like to be contacted. It works the same way. Uh, yeah. And now, just to keep things simpler, just browsing. Okay. Now, when we click submit, so a lot of things are happening, such as the first thing that happens is obviously the SQL command. So over here we have an SQL command that inserts the data that we're getting from all these boxes into the visitors database. That's the database we're using to capture the data and show the data. Right. So the text that's entered, and then the text, the value that is selected goes into the database, and then the command is executed by the execute non-query. And once the submit button is clicked, we also make this form itself the visibility false, as seen over here. This is the div where the form is, and when we do that, we make the results dot visible, the results div visibility true, so that we can see the uh, values. I think it's for here. Yeah, this is the one. So results dot, yeah, results. So if we go ahead and click submit, we can see, because we already had selected that, we can see that the values are over here, and uh, display.data, right? So this is what actually makes sure that we are getting the data and it's coming back here. Now, what this display.data function consists of is just consists of an SQL command that orders everything in the database by descending order of the ID. That way we have the most recent value, uh, the most recent data in the database from the visitors data, and then we select the top one. So once this command is executed, it is stored into the reader, SQL reader, and then if the reader has rows, meaning it has captured some data, it will make sure that the data source of the display results, which is this, and the display results is a details view, becomes the reader, and then it binds the data into that. And afterwards, we just close the reader so that we don't have any issues and it doesn't cause any collisions of data in the other areas. So once we click close, obviously this entire area goes. That's again for the visibility. So the visible becomes false, and then the resume becomes visibility becomes true. So once we close this, we'll see the resume itself. Now the image is over there by a image control, and then the roundness on the image is done by CSS code. That is over here, right over here. And right. So now everything on this page is, other than this and this area, is HTML and CSS. So how this area works is that we get an SQL command to select everything from the experience database. This is a new table. This is a different table, experience table. And once we do that, we execute the command and store the data source. Uh, we make the data source of the work drop down as the data that's executed, and from there what we do is we capture the column of the year and make sure that we capture the row that the year has been taken from, and it all comes over here. So after we get all that, we bind the data to the work dropdown, which is over here. Yep, it's a drop down list, and Okay, all right. So it's the drop-down list, and once we select it, what happens is we have this another function over here. So when selected index is changed, and we also have auto post back on this one to make sure that the data is going back immediately. And on this section, what we have is we have an SQL command to select everything from the data from the experience table where the ID is equal to uh, the variable ID. Now, the variable ID, we get it from converting the work dropdown selected value to an integer, and then we store it into ID so that we can know which row it was taken from. And after that, we just execute the SQL command and store everything to SQL data.reader. And if the reader has gotten data, it will take all the values that it's gotten from the reader, convert it into a toString, and then keep it all in a list string. Now, after that, what we'll do is we'll store the values into, we'll make sure that the data source of the work bullet list is values, and then bind the data together. So that's how the data over here keeps changing according to the database. Right. And lastly, the label over here, uh, right, this label over here, which is the job title, um, is taken by the same method. We read the position, the reader gives the position and turns it into a toString, and it's saved into position, and then we set the work label text into the variable position, and afterwards we just close it. So every time we change it, we can see that in 2020 I was a web application developer, in 2021 I was a project manager, and these were my key responsibilities. Um, and that is pretty much it for my individual assignment. Hope you liked it, and thank you very much for watching.